How are you doing on our drainage project down to Carnovan?
We've talked about it, and Chris has got some stuff drawn up.
We researched the history of what was happening in that area, and we have to decipher, try to figure out why they changed what they changed. And
I think we're going to get a chance here. We're going to try to meet with, at least with, help with the name.
Shamrock.
Bob Kelly. And I'm not sure if, is he the only one that's got issues down there, or do any of the other landowners?
Well, he'd be one. The Presbyterian Church is down in that area. The water has been allowed to run. They paved the ditch. They're
parking.
That's there's a lady on the north side of the road, Julie Cruz, built a new house.
Yeah.
She'd be concerned about any decrease in drainage that would flood her property. But I guess, Bob Kelly and his property would be a big issue. The folks that live on the corner,
the Odin house?
Odin's, they've got drainage, they've got tile maybe going in through their property that affect that area. They're on the southwest corner of the intersection. I think the big thing is if we want to increase the size of that big culvert on the east side of the intersection that goes north, and the other one is from that on the southwest corner of that intersection where we talked about putting a drain, similar to like what they did out at Speeds west of Wall Lake. If we're going to put a structure like that on that side of the road, that side of the intersection, we want to make sure there's a viable 10 or 12 inch or 20 inch tile going northeast, south, traveling in the southwest and northeast direction diagonally across that intersection, then ties into the big. We want to make sure that's.
Yeah.
I think that wouldn't be as expensive as changing the size of the big pipes. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and the urgency being that with this road,
The old road?
yeah, that we need to have it done before we do that.
Because some old road drawings and both the road going south and the road going east-west, showed that there was a junction there on the southeast corner of that intersection that had tile not only going northwest across the road, but then there were one that used to go east, and then over time apparently the one going east, we're assuming it's not functioning anymore. And then they also tied in another culvert filled the road ditch and tied another culvert in there and took it back, and I'm not sure that culvert has as much capacity to put the box that's going under the road, or the culvert going under the road. So anyway, I guess my thought was that once we sort of get everything deciphered as far as what we can tell is there and what we think is functioning and et cetera, then we try to meet with the landowner down there just to make sure we understood what they think the problem is, to make sure that we're trying to address.
When will that road repair be done?
Letting's not till
May 19th letting.
So we'd be looking July, August before they'd be
Earliest.
at the earliest.
June,
could be,
Could be
all depends on how many other projects they get.
Well, I'm just trying to see what time frame we have to get, because that repair or changing under the road won't be a real quick thing. I mean, but it has to be done before we put new road on.
Yeah, that's a project we would probably we'd get some quotes from a couple contractors. If it's something we can't do, we say we can't do ourselves. It's not like we're going to do a full letting.
Well, and that's, I mean, that's okay, we just, we want to be just very sure that it's done before we put new road on.
It's just that over the years, a lot of the stuff that's been done down there has not helped the drainage and has, you know, maybe actually restricted it. What year was that agreement with Cruz?
90s, late 90s.
Late 90s, there was an agreement with the Cruz to replace some of those tile lines where the main culvert crosses. And there were, apparently at that time there was a couple.
That was under her existing garage.
Yeah, I think they were,
Agreement
I don't know if they were
related.
clay or if they were concrete, but they were removed and replaced with twin plastic pipes, right?
Yep.
And, you know,
The big issue is getting water from the south side of the road and keep it running, moving north.
yeah.
Well, from the very beginning, the water south of the boat shop split and went east. Well, in time they built it up. And the one heading straight north was an overflow from the looks, and it looks like they've flipped those around, and they're trying to take the majority of the water straight north, where in the very beginning it was trying to go east to that box culvert by the Cruz
Yeah.
property. So
I think that's right, Chris. I think
yeah, so
you ought to look at the main delivery system, keep it on the west side and get it through the road. And then if that can't, you know, that other road crossing culvert to handle the field water from that 80 just, you know, immediately south of the boat area.
okay.
But what happens is that water, and you know, now we've improved the situation for up above. We've taken more water from the west side of the road, and then it comes down the east side of
It
the road,
crosses the road.
and it hits their driveway.
Yeah.
It might be such a thing. I think Mike said that we might, if we improve the situation underneath the county, the blacktop or the paved road, we might want to put a bigger pipe under that driveway on the east, south of his building, on the east side of the road. There's a driveway.
Yep.
And when the water hits that, now it shoots over and goes through the center of his lot.
Well, that's the way the water originally went, was east
Yeah.
there. So, not sure how we can control Mother Nature.
Well, all considerations, I mean, we have to do the best we
We
can.
have to, yeah. And there's some fair-sized tile coming down the roadway too, from the terraces to the south.
Yeah,
That-
that's what I was talking about.
Compounding it, so.
Yeah.
Not just the surface water, there's subsurface water.
Yeah,
We're
and I'm not
dealing
sure
with that
Mike
too, so.
explained to me, you know, right west of their old block building, they parked what used to be an open ditch.
Yes,
You know, they filled that in, they
Yes.
parked there.
yes.
Bob's wife, but sometime there might be as many as 4 or 5 cars parked, and are they willing to, it might be good to, I mean, they missed that parking.
To open it
And it gets
back.
back to visiting with the property owners, but,
Yeah.
you know, tear all that out, and so, you know, the water,
Comes right down to the north.
and it's just gotta go through, limits the amount of, and maybe it limits the number of feet that it's gotta go under, you know, through the pipe rather than run free.
And it's amazing that it hasn't actually flooded the building, you know, with some of this big water that we've had, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's been a mess, but the way that lays.
But even that where they filled that parking in, you know, that water and I don't know whether it's crossed the road before or whether that intake has worked better before, and it's just in the last few years it's gotten worse. But the water might have went across the road, and once it got to the east side, it had with that parking not being full there, the water could have went south and into that other culvert rather than running in front of his building.
Well, regardless of from the drain or the culvert from the west, that thing's in the wrong spot.
The ones on the west side is just,
It's useless.
Yeah. And you know, the old plan showed that there was another intake on the curb
Farther up.
further up on the road.
Oh, really?
It doesn't appear, I mean, there's a hole, you can see where it used to be, but who took it out and where it went or where the tile served it, you know, we don't know. Some of that stuff, we probably aren't gonna know until we just start digging it up and see what's there.